In this episode, the Enterprise is... Hello and welcome back with another episode review of the animated series. Today we're going to talk about the episode BEM. In this episode, the Enterprise is hosting an independent observer from the planet Pandro. The Honorary Commander Ari BEM. He's a really interesting life form. Technically, he looks like a normal humanoid, but later on it will surprise you. The Enterprise is orbiting around the Delta Theta 3. It's a planet that they try to categorize and they try to, just do normal exploration. And Commander BEM is with the Enterprise. He tried to observe not just, the exploration itself, the humans itself. The Federation really want to have diplomatic relations with the Pandronians. And this is a perfect opportunity to actually have this connection between the Pandronians and the Federation. So they let Commander BEM on board the Enterprise, and he accompanies Kirk and Spock and the landing team to an exploration mission in Delta Theta 3. Before they beam down, Kirk got a little bit suspicious because BEM was ready to beam down with them to the planet, but in the previous missions he didn't really get engaged or something. So it was like, why now? Why this planet? Well, the funny thing happens is they beam down, but 3 of the crew members actually end up in the land, but Kirk and Spock materializes in the air, so they ended up falling down into the water. That was a hilarious scene, so this actually can prove how the transporters are not really reliable sometimes. Moving forward, when they ended up in the water, BEM goes to offer help to Kirk and Spock, but secretly he detaches himself from waist down, and his legs just start to move, and they replace the communicator and the phaser for a dummy one in Kirk and Spock's trousers. So he actually swapped the real ones with fake ones. But this is not really the case. The case is he detached himself from himself. So it's so technically the Pandronians, BEM is an entity that can just detach himself parts, and he uses this feature later on in the episode as well. So they try to scan the planet, and they go around, and they found this aboriginals. It's a lizard, a sort of dinosaur sort of creatures living down in the planet, and BEM without any reason just runs away, obeying orders. And obviously Kirk and Spock try to capture him, but they go to that part when they actually weren't able to go into because there was too much forest and everything. But BEM detached himself, so his arms, his legs, his head, his body up just goes into different parts and just floating into air. I don't know how the Pandronians did this, or was their evolutionary response for this, or maybe they are androids, or that. This race would have made an interesting cameo appearance in any Star Trek show, because I think they were fantastic. BEM technically ends up in the Aboriginal hands. He got captured by these lizard creatures, and Kirk and Spock try to rescue him, because Kirk thinks, okay, rather he disobeyed order, but he can't leave them there because he's still under his responsibility. So while Kirk and Spock try to rescue BEM from the captivity, Sulu and Scotty and the other part of the landing party, they basically waiting for Captain Kirk and Spock to return, but obviously Uhura commanding the Enterprise, and this is the second time actually when I can say I'm so glad to actually see Uhura as a commanding officer in the Enterprise. Wonder why she didn't actually command the Enterprise before, and even after that, so it would have been interesting as a character development for Uhura to get in a commanding officer rank, or even a captain and get a starship. But she could have been the first female captain instead of Captain Janeway, but okay, regarding the timeline, this is totally fine with me. They beam back Scotty and the rest of the landing party to the Enterprise, and Kirk and Spock try to rescue BEM, obviously in the middle of the night, and they get captured as well. So all of them got captured, and they thinking about the situation, and they actually telling BEM, it's like, why did you do that? And obviously BEM reveals his superpower. He can detach himself, and he can just float around, and we can escape easily. But as an observer, he demands, he really wants to observe these creatures from from their perspective. But obviously his methods are against for the Prime Directive. But the Pandronian is not really part of the Federation, and so it's a kind of a delicate situation, interfering with the pre-industrial civilization, but still keep maintaining the possibility, the hope, as the Pandronians and the Federation can join together. Obviously, when BEM reveals his real features, his real power towards Kirk and Spock, he also explains why he swapped the phaser and the communicator with the real ones for dummy ones, simply because he don't believe in violence, and Kirk and Spock with these equipments can cause problem in that society. But suddenly there's a force field captures everyone, and it reveals there's an entity, a godlike entity, lives in this planet, and she claims these dragon creatures, that race, as her children. So she's kind of like the protector. She's kind of like the caretaker of this race, like as it later on happened in Voyager. You know, the caretaker was basically taking care of the accompanies. This is some similar situation, but obviously this entity tried to guide this race just to help them push forward in the ladder of the evolution. Obviously the entity tells them, okay, just let's get out of this planet because I don't want you here, because you just interfering with my children, and that should not happen. So the landing party found BEM, and obviously they got in a little fight with these creatures, and suddenly the entity comes again and it's like, why didn't you leave the planet? I told you just to leave the planet. And Kirk explains to the entity, okay, we had to go with him because we don't really want him to interfere with your kids. So this is the part of the episode when we get a really good lesson about punishment and errors and human errors. And actually I really felt good because of this lesson, not because of the not because it's Star Trek and it's talking about correcting errors. You should learn from your mistakes, not get punished, because if you get punished, obviously in some cases it won't work, but if you leave someone to learn from their mistake, that it's more of an advantage for the person itself to learn from their mistake than getting punished. And BEM was disappointed because he really wanted to observe this culture, these creatures, this group, without getting into trouble and without getting in a violent mode, but he failed and he wanted to disassemble himself, basically he wanted to kill himself, but the entity convinces him, don't do it. That's where this lesson came handy, because the entity actually tells him, do not do that, because if you just disassemble yourself you won't be able to learn from your mistake, and this is a better punishment than punishing yourself being killed or making a suicide mission. In this episode basically we get a really good lesson about learning from our mistakes instead of obviously punishing yourself as well, but punishing yourself sometimes doesn't really help on the situation. You have to learn from your mistakes, and if you learn from your mistakes then you can become a much better person and you can have a much better understanding of who you are and what you should try to avoid in the future. Overall, this episode for me, it was really good. I really enjoyed watching it. It surprised me in a different level as well, because I didn't expect BEM, the Pandronian. He has this feature that he can detach his parts from the main body, so everything else can float in the air. So this had been a really good opportunity to actually go into deeper to the Pandronian culture and the Pandronian society, to actually discover more of this race. I'm truly amazed of this race. So I'm not sure if but there's only 4 episodes left. I'm not sure if they have any more appearance in this series, but it was a big loss. I hope in some point in the future they actually will reappear, or maybe in the novelization in the extended Star Trek universe maybe they are there, but it's a shame some of the good creatures didn't really make any more appearance in the later incarnation of Star Trek. So as a rating I would say 5 out of 5. I didn't really have any problem with this episode. Obviously we're talking about violating the Prime Directive, and we're talking about evolution, and we're talking about punishment, and this is a really good lesson to learn from your mistakes. This is something brilliant that Star Trek always gives, a simple lesson but it's so powerful. As always, thank you very much for watching, guys. That was my episode review for the animated series episode called BEM Season 2, Episode 2. Please let me know your thoughts about this episode in the comment section below, and please let me know if you liked this episode or not, if you watched it or not. And please don't forget to like and share the video, and don't forget to subscribe as well to receive all the geekiness twice a week. Until next time, live long and prosper.